Now turn to someone near you and put that song into your consciousness. Look into somebody's eyes. When I look at you. Now turn around, Martha, and do it behind you. And John, do it to somebody else. When I look at you, what do you see in that person? Beautiful. And Millie and I haven't even talked, but that is the most synchronistic experience I've had so far on Sunday morning. Because that's what we're going to be talking about. The second unity principle. And I am so happy to have my wife, the author that Pathless Land Press is promoting. And guess who Pathless Land Press is? So I want to make her a part of our talk this morning. And she does, at open mic, she does what they call 1-minute memoirs. So she's going to open with a 1-minute memoir and we'll close with one. And the stuff in between, they always say, when you make a talk, the good stuff's at the front and the good stuff's at the back, and you forget everything in between. So. It's on. Talk and see if it isn't on.
Hello.
Is it on?
It might be on mute. You just have to hit the mute button.
There's a light. Hi, everybody. Me, myself, and I. I awoke reluctantly, weighed down by the burden of drawing breath. I was devoid of ambitions. No unresolved problem spurred me into action. No unmet need.
That's good. I'll just turn it off. It's okay. I got it, Rochelle. Yeah. I'll just cut me off.
No unmet need beckoned me out of bed. No impending disaster threatened. My life felt complete, if not content. My disposition flatlined at, just let me be done with it. But the bruising pressure of the mattress against my spine wailed more insistently than my death wish. So I shuffled downstairs for aspirin to ease the nagging in my back. Returned to the bedroom, slipped back under the covers, and waited. The pain reliever's caffeine cleared the clouds from my imagination. My equilibrium creaked back to center. Blood, bones, and breath became as inviting as the void that had stretched beyond them. Those two dawns, pre-caffeine and post-caffeine, both seemed so real, as though I might be trapped inside one or the other. Their storylines, one of them was a tragedy, the other a romantic comedy, the stories ran parallel, as relentless as railroad tracks. But how could those two lives qualify as real if an insignificant aspirin snapped them into and out of existence? How is it possible a tiny white pill turned them into dandelion puffs born on the winds of eternity? Me and myself, we have questions. I refuses to answer.
Okay, so I have a question. Who are we? Who are we? Really? Anybody out there got answers? Do you dare say what's on your mind? People that have heard me a few times knows not to answer my questions because it's a trap. But who are we really? Because that's really what the spiritual quest is about. Because we all come into human form, we grow up, and you get a name that becomes like a basket that we put all of our experiences in, and that's who we think we are. We're this basket of experiences. So the family, the culture condition us to believe that, oh, Mary, I know who Mary is, and I think in the past experiences with her, and wow, Mary's really nice, I like Mary. And then there's John. That's enough said. His basket of experiences are different than Mary's. But the idea is, who are we really? And so, unity has an answer for us. And it's the second unity principle. And I didn't memorize it this way, so I thought I would bring over the official second unity principle. We are spiritual beings created in God's image. The Spirit of God lives within each person. Therefore, all people are inherently good. And what did Millie's song do? But make the perfect segue for the second unity principle. Now, does everybody agree with that second principle? Raise your hand if you agree with it. Yeah, some of you are a little slow on lifting the hand. Now, wait a minute. Do I really believe that or not? Because this basket of experiences called Darla or Trish or Suzanne has us believing in a self that doesn't really exist, but because the energy that this form is so dense and feels so solid that it feels real, and we're all a part of the mass hypnosis of the culture that says your peace, happiness, and freedom lies within the material world, right? I mean, you're growing up and when you're a good girl or a good boy, you get rewarded. When you're a bad girl or a bad boy, you get punished. So you learn to adapt to the culture you grow up in, believing things about yourself that just simply aren't true. But as you buy into the survival story of this human form, what happens? We develop opinions and beliefs, right? And so that second unity principle can be summed up as Christ in you, the hope of glory, which is what the Bible tells us. Christ in you. I am the Christ. Are you the Christ? How many of you believe that you are the Christ? Raise your hand. I'm not getting as many hands on that one. So like Millie's song, how many times in your life have you looked at someone and not seen the Christ in them? Because they've irritated you, they've frustrated you, they've made you angry. Well, wait a minute, no. There's a Christ in them too. And there's a Christ in you. Well, then what's the breakdown here? This unconscious belief system in our mind that we identify with. What would happen if we didn't identify with that belief system of a self? What if we didn't identify with it? Well, that is the true spiritual journey, is instead of looking out into the world, looking out into all the things going on out here, that all the people, places, and things that have blocked you from being happy. Right? I mean, if your parents had been more nurturing when you were growing up, if your friends had been more nurturing when you were growing up, if your co-workers would just understand that you know how to do this job better than they do, if that boss would just listen to you, life would be okay. If the world would just get peaceful like you know it should, then I'd be okay. Are you ever going to be okay like that? Are you ever going to know the Christ within yourself or the Christ in others through the beliefs and judgments and opinions that arise in your head? Now, there's nothing wrong with the body, mind, personality that this body is created, because it's a part of the journey, it's a part of the adventure, it's a part of the mystery that is created from consciousness. It's created from consciousness, and actually we would probably be more skillful rather than saying God if we said consciousness, because consciousness is really nebulous. What is consciousness? Well, I can see that everybody here this morning is totally conscious. Your eyes are open, you're hearing the words, you're getting the message. Millie just shared a song with you that touches her heart. You're all conscious, right? No, sorry, no. But it's the tip of the iceberg. With the right intention, and instead of looking outside yourself, if you look inside yourself, you do your inner work, and so that difficult person, place, or thing that shows up in your life, you know what? You created it. You drew it to you. Tolle, whatever his first name is. Eckhart. See, I'm 69 going on 70, and instead of trying to be independent, I try to work with collective consciousness. What I can't remember, you all will. Thank you so much. Palma, Dawn, amen. We're all in it together. I mean, that really is the truth. So, Eckhart Tolle is so clear of Power of Now, A New Earth. See, I got that one. That was good the other day. I couldn't remember that. But we're drawing to us every experience we need for the soul's evolution. Every difficult person is a teacher for you. Every difficult circumstance, every person, place, and thing is a teacher for you. And I say that with a lot of confidence, because some of you heard my story that I really had. I could say I've already been through hell, through my family system, and then what I learned from them I created for myself. And now, over time, 27 years on this spiritual path, there's been a shift in consciousness. And the people, places, and things in my life now are so radically different. It's just, I don't even know who did that. A shift in consciousness. When I do one-on-one wisdom training with people, I'm guiding them into themselves, into what Tolle calls the pain body. Psychologists call it the shadow side. Some people call it every relationship you make, you're carrying baggage with you. It's like you got a backpack on your bag and you don't know how to put it down. Every difficult person in your life has a blessing for you. And so it's like what I work with people, because what's happened for me is this shift in consciousness. And when a shift in consciousness happens, you don't have to change your thinking, but you will think differently. But you can't think your way to shift consciousness. You can be I did talk therapy for years. Love talk therapy. Really good. But talk therapy exists in time. Consciousness exists everywhere at all time, but as a model, an Advaita Vedanta model is that the levels of consciousness are physical consciousness. So we're here in our bodies with our five senses, listening with our heads. Then you can ratchet it up a notch, go into a bigger consciousness called subtle consciousness, which includes your dream states, includes your chakras. I've never seen a chakra, but I trust that they're there because a lot of people say they see it. And I see it on YouTube, and I've seen pictures of it, and I felt it, but I sure can't understand it. But chakras, dream states, even your memories are at the level of subtle consciousness, because your past, your memory is not accurate. Two people can be in the same place at the same time observing the same situation and will have radically different stories about what happened depending on what your filters are, what your conditioning is. So physical consciousness, subtle consciousness, and it's not really higher, but it's bigger. So if we were doing circles, like here's this solid form called Ben, and this is physical consciousness. And now go to subtle consciousness, and we're actually making connections with each other. There's 7 chakras. There's the chakras, and then the auras around us. We're exchanging energy. There's constant energy flowing around whether you feel it or not. But are you awake to the subtle consciousness, the subtle chakras, the auras that are radiating between us? And then you can leave the world of energy, but you stay in consciousness as you cross the veil into causal consciousness. And cause and effect, karma registers in a vertical dimension, not the horizontal of birth to death. It's a vertical experience. And so causal consciousness is where karma resides. And then the non-dual consciousness, we could call that God. But it's actually beyond God. We think of the universe, God created the universe, but the universe is expanding into something. What's it expanding into? So who we are is consciousness in a downward sense of vibration down into these dense energy forms in which we develop an identification with a me that doesn't really exist. Kalu Rinpoche, a Tibetan Buddhist teacher, said, and I'll repeat it twice because your mind's going to have a hard time catching this one. So it's like, okay, everybody open your eyes and open your mind. This is a big one. Got to have a big net to catch it. We live in illusion and the appearance of things. This is a reality. We are that reality. And understanding this, we know that we are nothing. Not nothing as in nothing. We are no thing. We are no thing. And seeing this, we become everything. Did you catch it? Whoa! Need to wipe your brow off on that one. We live in illusion and the appearance of things. This is a reality. We are that reality, the illusion and the appearance of things. Absolutely. We live in illusion and the appearance of things. We are this reality. And when we realize this, we know that we are no thing. And being nothing, we're everything. When you go inside and you start tuning into consciousness itself, beyond the understanding mind, beyond the identification with form, is when you can get that shift in consciousness in which there's a knowingness that the Christ is expressing in every person. Now, it isn't always pretty because this karmic creation leads us into this dense energy form, and the Buddha said that when you purify the defilements, and the defilements are fear, greed, and hatred, and all its permutations. Because I've had many people say, greed, well, Ben, I'm not greedy. I just keep giving it all away. I keep giving it all away. Yeah, what do you want to get? You're wanting to get something if you give it all away. Because the law of the universe is to be in balance is to give and receive. And if you're like me, grew up Christian, it's better to give than receive. Here, oh, Darla, here, take this. Palma, take this. And Martha said, well, Ben, here, let me give you this. Oh, no, Martha, I don't need that. It's okay. Rochelle, here, Ben, let me give you this. No, Rochelle, no. Universe doesn't work that way. Fear, greed, and hatred. When you purify the defilement, anybody here not experience fear? Not in the moment? Not anymore. Yes. Yeah, I got a couple of people that could answer that question, but let me talk to the rest of you. You can purify fear, greed, and hatred. When you purify the defilements, what is revealed to us is called, I call them the Brahma Viharas, which can be translated as the heavenly abodes of love, compassion, joy, and peace. But those qualities are selfless. There's no you doing it. It is selfless. The quality of being human is that everything about this human experience is impermanent, unsatisfactory, and selfless. And I could do a whole talk on those three. But the idea is that when we start moving from identification with form to identification with the formless, we realize that all of the love, compassion, joy, and peace we've ever sought has always been here. We just haven't seen it. We haven't been aware. We've been trapped in an identification with form that's a low, dense frequency that we cannot see what's already here. And so, you all were kind of with me on that deal about, do you see the Christ in your parents that maybe weren't as nurturing as you wanted them to be? Can you see the Christ in the difficult co-workers? Can you see the Christ in the difficult boss? Can you see the Christ in Tsarnaev, one of the Boston bombers? Because there's a Christ there. There's a Christ there. What did Jesus do? He went to the people that were suffering the most. He didn't need to go to the people that were already righteous. That young man, it's a karmic journey for him, and he'll experience the consequences of his karma. So he's going to get the punishment whether we kill him or not. What about the ISIS fighters doing these horrific things against other people? It just breaks your heart. Your heart is designed to be broken 1,000,000 times. Because you can't have love. In the human realm, you can't have love without hate. Jesus said, love your enemies, right? Because if you love the people that love you, what are you doing any differently than anybody else? Right? Me. Dawn, I love you. Oh, man, I just love you. But what about the people that don't love you? What about the people that are judgmental towards you? What about the people that have criticism of you? See, Jesus, for me, Buddha taught freedom, and Jesus taught love. And if I put those two together, watch out. So the practice is to challenge yourself, to look deep within yourself, because if you're not loving of your enemies, what's blocking you from being what Jesus said you should do? What judgment? See, one of the practices in a Buddhist practice is to drop all judgmentalism and all criticism of yourself and others. Now be honest. How many of you here have some self-judgments or self-criticism about yourself that you don't want anybody to know? No, I'm not going to tell anybody that. Drop it. Let it go. It doesn't serve you. All it does is reinforce a sense of self that is suffering. Because what's the most painful thing we do in the human form? Is relationships and trying to love people, right? I mean, anybody here been divorced? Do you love your ex? Be honest. Well, I would have continued loving them if they'd just done it right. What about a friend that's betrayed you? Hell, that hurts. Betrayal, abandonment. Horrible. Do you love them? Come on, do you love them? They're Christ. You're Christ. See, the paradox is to truly know who you are, which is pure consciousness, this vertical dimension. You created the human form that's not a self-you, It's a capital S self you, a big consciousness you, a big heart you, a big compassion you. Created this form for this journey, for your soul's evolution, and so all of the difficulty in this life is a gift to you. What I've learned, because the Buddha said, every person born on this planet will suffer. It comes with it. And everybody, and especially in our country, we have the ability that we can really try to run away from our suffering. You know, money, alcohol, gambling, drugs, you know, all kinds of distractions we can have trying to run away from our suffering. The magic happens, the mystery shows up, is when you turn and grab hold of your own suffering, go into your own suffering, go into the fear itself, and find out that its energy, it feels solid and real, but if you have the courage to turn and face it, sit down with it, sit in the crucible of your own fear, greed, and hatred, feel it, let it consume you, and it's transformational. You come out the other side with more love, compassion, peace, and joy. But it ain't me doing it. It's available to everybody. And there isn't a crime that's ever been committed on this planet Earth that if that person turns towards their fear that put them in that situation to do that, that they can't find peace and love and compassion. God has never judged us. God is so ready to have us open up. It's available, grace is available to everyone, no matter how horrendous the mistakes are that may have been made. It makes no difference. Nothing done on this planet is independent of God's Brahma Vihara, love and compassion, joy and peace. Now I want to really hit you with one. Okay, we've got a Zen Buddhist writing a book. His name's Adyashanti, writing a book about resurrecting Jesus, embodying the spirit of a revolutionary mystique. Because our Christian religion has been pretty good about taking Jesus and putting him on a pedestal because he's God. Well, you know what? I need a Jesus that's down here in the muck and mire with me. A Jesus that struggles. And if you look at the Gospels, he did struggle. He went to the garden and said, God, take this cup from my hand. He didn't want to have to be tortured and crucified. But he surrendered to God and he said, thy will, not my will. On the cross he said, why hast thou forsaken me? Incredible suffering, only to surrender. Into thy hands I commit my spirit. Plus he took 2 criminals with him. What's that all about? What do you think it was the 11 disciples that were left? How do you think they felt about that? Oh, come on, Jesus, we've been serving you. We've been working with you, buddy. Yeah, and where did they go? Man, they were taking care of their own skins. So here's a message from a Zen Buddhist about who Jesus is, talking about each one of us. In these 2 paragraphs he writes, every verse and episode of the Jesus story is a metaphor for the human experience of awakening. This passage may point to a realm of human experience that many people don't experience because they never stop. They never become still. But nonetheless, it is there. And when they talk about stop or become still, quiet the mind. Try quieting your mind. Try sitting in silence without reading, writing, watching TV, listening to music. Try being still. It is really hard to do. But nonetheless, it is there. It is possible to find it in stillness and silence. As the Bible says, be still and know that I am God. Be still. inside. Go into the wisdom body. Your body contains your wisdom, not your head. Go into the body. Go into the heart and be still. Experience a shift in consciousness that will show you who you truly are. And of course we know the famous passage that God sent His only begotten Son. Right? Well, does that include you? Have you been sent by God? I mean, it's like, well, no. Are you as good as Jesus? Are you as good as Jesus the Christ? Are you? Let me read the next paragraph and see what you think about this one. Okay, now open your mind. And when you reorient your life toward this realization, then you understand you so loved the world. You had so much compassion. You had so much love that you poured yourself forth into life. And that pouring forth was your birth. You are here to redeem whatever you encounter in this life. To wake up within everything the deep reality of its divine existence. Did you catch it? Did you catch it? God so loved the world. You so loved the world, because who we are is consciousness. You so loved the world. You had so much compassion. You had so much love that you poured yourself forth into life. And that pouring forth was your birth. You are here to redeem whatever you encounter in this life, to wake up within everything the deep reality of its divine existence. Doesn't get any more powerful than that. There's no accident of your birth here. Consciousness created. You are consciousness. So let's meditate on that for a couple of minutes. Just breathe with me. It's like breathe down through your body. That the body be grounded to the earth, because the body's made up of earth elements. This body was never designed to be permanent. So let the body go for 2 minutes. And as you breathe through your body, notice the spaciousness in your body. Notice the spaciousness in your body. The body's made up of atoms that make up molecules that make up cells that make up this body, trillions of cells. Breathe through the body. It's 99.999% space. Imagine the universe inside you as pure consciousness. Everywhere connected in the universe with each other here and out into the universe. Feel the spaciousness. Feel the emptiness. All possibilities exist before you came into this human form. If you simply can touch the spaciousness, the emptiness, you will know who you are, really. You will know who you are, really. And then you come back, following your breath like an umbilical cord, recreating your body. Feeling the density of the body as you follow the breath back into your body. Feeling the density, the heaviness of it. Feeling it grounded to the earth, connected to the earth. And yet you bring back with you the consciousness that you are so much more than this limited human form. so much more than this limited human form. The breath is consciousness. God breathed the breath of life into this lump of clay. You breathe life into this lump of clay. Breathing slowly and deeply, opening into the body, into the essence of who you are. Grounded in this body, aware of the body, as we end our meditation and get another 1-minute memoir from Dawn. So take a deep breath, breathe out, and join the collective consciousness here.
My irresponsible life, my irresponsible lump of clay. Yesterday, she wasted away the morning zoning out on Facebook. Took some detours over to slideshows of the 10 worst celebrity plastic surgeries. And then the 9 secrets to a transformational pedicure. Then my life plopped herself onto the couch for some dedicated boob tube study. We're not talking documentaries or BBC. We're talking reality TV, game shows, cook-offs. During the commercials, my lump of clay daydreamed about upgrading her cell phone to the luxury brand, the one manufactured by exploited Chinese children. At dinner time, she snarfed up a corn-fed beef burger on a bun baked with refined white sugar and genetically modified wheat. Fast food place was only 3 blocks away. You'd think she would have walked. Lord knows she needed the exercise. But no, she drove her fossil fuel burning non-hybrid car. Between French fries, I gave my lump of clay a good talking to. Everybody knows you ought to eat organic. You shouldn't spend your money on products that poison the environment. And television, it's a known fact, that will fry your brain. Starting tomorrow, we're making big changes around here. We're going to church. From now on, we're into deep spiritual values. As I fussed and worried and planned, my life kicked back to watch a rerun of American Idol. Thank you.